Los jeroglíficos dicen que se llamaba Ahmanet, elegida para convertirse en reina de Egipto. Pero su sed de poder la condujo por una senda oscura. No debía dar ni un solo paso más.
Well, you know, she's very well-rounded, she's intelligent, she's feisty. It was very clear that they wanted Jenny to be someone who could stand across from Tom and Nick and his character and be an equal. And so I was very excited about the prospect of playing someone like that. She's stationed out in the Middle East. There's a rogue element to her and her life choices and why she's there. And she protects antiquities from insurgents in Iraq. I mean, she's very steeped in what's going on in our world now. So for me, she was so exciting because she was a chance to create a modern classical heroine, you know, and not to take away from any of the ones before, which I think are all just lovely, but what was clear going into this was that, you know, Tom, Alex, Universal were very adamant to honor the females in the right way, make them all equal. So nobody in any place in our film falls into a distinct stereotype or relationship stereotype. I think the dynamics are all slightly confused and slightly conflicted, and I think that's exciting to watch. Firstly, I don't think he would choose Jenny in real life. If you had the mummy, she's so kind of alluring and sexy and strong, and there's me quite goofy and funny. But she has charm. I think, wait, what was your question again?
I was asking you to describe the role in the three-way. I mean,
yes, the three-way, I like this. I think the dynamic is interesting because I have a love for Ahmanet's character. You know, I've searched for her my whole life. You know, I've taken a map to the Middle East. She has willed me into this place in my life and has become such a truth that even, you know, when we capture her, you know, I'm still fascinated. I still want to know. I want to understand so much about the world that she can uncover. So that makes you wonder about Jenny. You're like, what is she after? What is this drive to understand these monsters, these flawed characters, these things that should repel her? She's drawn in by her. So that's one. And then there's the Nick dynamic where, you know, there's a suggestion between them, but it never gets consummated, you know, and you never get a final answer to what their dynamic. You feel it so deeply. There's this love and this care, and I think it represents all the relationships we all have in our lives that are complex and complicating. Nothing is black and white. And more so, we're not afraid to like present relationship like that on screen and for it to be confusing and to celebrate confusion. Because nothing is black and white. So I think that makes this movie stand alone in many ways because it just gives the audience some truth that they can be like, oh yeah, I resonate with that. That's my truth too. Life is interesting and confusing, but you know, I could just go on and on.
I have to ask about Tom Cruise because he has this reputation.
That guy.
That guy. Being very intense and a perfectionist and, you know, doing his own stunts. Did you have a hard time keeping up with him?
Well, I like that you say perfectionist because, you know, if he's perfectionist, he found it in me. No. He's great. He definitely is a cinephile and passionate. And, you know, what I love is that he wants to honor his audience in the way that they deserve to be honored. You know, they pay for these tickets. He's like, we're going to give everything to make sure that these people have the best experience possible. Everything is entrenched in truth. You know, we work hard, we build these sets, we do stunts, we put our body through things, we work long hours. It's so much love and commitment that goes into a film that he's a part of, and I think it really shows. Well, the comedy came unexpectedly. It was the natural dynamic between Tom and I. We're very comedic together, and that's our natural rapport. So when we started the film, they had an outline of a script, but they hadn't really formed the characters, and then I think really I got cast because of the natural dynamic. So they started to write around our natural rapport and our comedic sides. So yes, a lot of that comedy stuff is just the way Tom and I are specifically together. But I liked all of it, you know. I'm someone who loves serious drama and I love comedy. The next film I'm doing is a comedy for Warner Brothers, and so yeah, I think I just wanted to make sure that, you know, in this time, in this space, while I can, by freedom of choice to do a bit of everything, I think it's important to appeal to all markets and then really maybe fine-tune at some point. But at this moment, it was just wonderful to do action. I'd never really done that before. And then that organically, they found some of my silliness funny and they kept it in the film. Ooh. I think the idea of Frankenstein's bride is quite exciting. Another female, maybe a Dracula. They're all exciting. And especially, you know, having been part of the first one and knowing that now you can only just, the standard is so high, I feel, and that's so exciting because it means that wherever you go in this world, you're going to go with incredible people. Yeah, you know, I don't see women any other way. I see them as equal as any man that, you know, that I've ever come across. So it's just, for me, it's just is what it is. And I represent myself that way. All the women in my life are that way. So it is when you're, you know, in an industry where, yes, at times they can be disenfranchised in a way or stereotyped in a way, it's important to make sure that if you do have a voice and a platform, that you use your brain and your intellect and your worldliness and your representation of women as best you can. So yes, it was definitely a draw. I did. I grew up watching all of them. You know, God, there's so much part of my cinematic makeup, my emotional makeup. You know, I remember being so young and watching Frankenstein and being so conflicted and feeling scared but then hot, and I could empathize with him. And I remember just thinking, God, I was so confused, but realizing later that confusion is so beautiful, you know, and it's something that lures you back in because, you know, it celebrates your dark and your light. We have all of us we have that constant battle daily. So I think that's the allure, is that you never move away from the dark and the light within yourself. So when you see it in others and the conflict that brings up, it makes for great characters, makes for great stories. I love Russell. He is a force to behold. You know, I mean, I think there was one day I had a scene with the two of them and I thought, oh my God, what just happened? How am I in this scene with Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise? And you know, Russell is incredibly generous and he's kind and he's an incredible actor. And just to watch him, you know, I loved watching our crew, you know. A crew is usually, there's so many young people and they're starting out their journey in cinema on those sets, you know, they're runners, they're gaffers. And when Tom and Russell would be on set, people would just like stop everything they're doing just to watch, you know. And it was just wonderful to be around. And you know, Russell is just full of laughs. He's always joking. He's very kind. You know, he was so generous with our crew. And yeah, just a really, really lovely guy.
Usted está vivo porque ha sido elegido.
Dios mío.
Por el mal.
Está utilizando.
Este antiguo poder ha regresado. Ella reclamará lo que se le ha negado.